Right, good afternoon people of YouTubes. We're going to get on and we're going to get all this back together today. I'm going to go too much in depth with it because it is pretty much putting everything back on of what I took off in the last video. We've got a load of new parts to fit, which will hopefully make it a lot nicer. And yeah, the goal at this video is going to be to get everything back on, get the downpipe all back on, get the exhaust all wrapped and sealed up, gearbox, clutch, flywheel, get some oil in it, coolant in it, and yeah, get it so we can run it up to temperature. I ain't going to go again too much into depth in it. It's literally the reversal of removal, which I've already done in the last video, but I have got a load of new parts that I'm going to show you. Yeah, I think we'll just get straight into it basically. Right, so down here I've got a load of new nuts and bolts. So I've got all new bell housing bolts, flywheel bolts, clutch bolts. Which one of these is nuts? Yeah, so I've literally got starter motor bolts, another starter motor bolt. I think that's another starter motor bolt. A lot of these bolts I already had doubles of, but they're getting harder and harder to find now. So I've just gone in and like them two are the same bolt. I think these three are all the same bolt. There's a couple of shorter ones there that goes underneath into the sump. Start motor bolts, upper bolts for the bell housing, and also for the covers. Regarding the covers, this car never came with any closing panels for the flywheel. I did manage to get this starter motor one brand new, again from Rimmer Brothers. That was the last one they had, and the other one is no longer available, so I'm going to have to see if I can get a second hand one at some point. But we're just going to put the nuts and bolts in anyway, although that's just going to be not holding anything, but the nuts and bolts are going to be there ready for it anyway. Got a few drive shaft nuts, upper ball joints with the locking plates, and I've got all new gear linkage bushers, bolt, and all the washers to go with that as well. So that will be hopefully make the gear shift feel a little bit better. I've got this MGF and TF gearbox mount that I got from MGF and TF bits, and that comes a complete powder coated unit. As I say, really nice, all new stainless hardware, new mounting bits, again all new bolts, so that will replace the rotten one that we took off last time. It has got this thing which normally houses the clutch slave on it, but obviously we don't need that bit because we've got a clutch cable, and that's got a different bracket, I believe. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so the clutch cable bracket is slightly different. I should have known that really, and I should have taken it to the workshop and sandblasted it and gave it a coat of paint, but that will go on there like that. But the main thing is we've got a structurally sound gearbox mount now instead of having a rusty mess. The other thing that I brought with me is my old brake setup from the MGF as well. So all freshly powder coated calipers when I put them on. I went through all the braking system when I built the race car, the MGF race car. So, but as you can see, the powder coating is getting a little bit on the burnt side. So yeah, that's a little bit of a clean up, and they'll come up all right. Just to stick on here. And they have got some Mintex F4R pads in as well, so they're nice grippy pads once I get up to temperature. So I think that's enough waffle. Again, I'm just going to crack on and get it all done. I've previously fitted the crankshaft seal and I've cleaned everything up, so it's just a case of sticking the flywheel on, bolting that down, torquing that up, sticking the clutch on. Again, I've got all new bolts for that. Get the gearbox in and then just start plucking away and just get everything connected. So again, I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to crack on and I'll just jump in every now and again and give you a couple of little updates. Right, that's the clutch all in, and the flywheel, all new hardware, so 6 new flywheel bolts, 6 new clutch bolts, reusing the old flywheel and clutch because there's nothing wrong with them. Torque settings, 85 newton meters on the flywheel bolts, and you have to do it in a sequence, so a star pattern, and 25 newton meters on the clutch plate, again in a star pattern, and you have to draw them in equally. So you want to nip them all up first, just keep going round and round and round and round a little bit at a time, and then the final torque 25 newton meters in a star pattern. Right, the only thing that I didn't have was a clutch alignment tool, left it at the workshop. I did try and eyeball it, but it's hard to get in there and see straight. So hopefully the gearbox won't cause too much of an issue in trying to refit it, which is the next thing. So just got to put the clutch release bearing on, and then we'll get the gearbox back in, and again hopefully it won't cause me too much drama. Right, so I'll come back after I fitted that. Right, we've got the gearbox in. Luckily my line of sight is spot on and well calibrated because that slips straight into the clutch, which is good. I've got all new bolts in there, don't know if you can see that. Start motor bolts, top bell housing bolts, bottom bell housing bolts, side bell housing bolts, all good. I've got that back cover on as well for the starter motor, and the reason why I believe this cover's missing, the flywheel protector, if I can get in there, might not be able to see it, there you go. So there should be a cover protecting all that, but as you can see, just near that wastegate, that's all been hacked away, obviously to fit the wastegate, and there was another bolt hole on there, so obviously putting a cover back on with one bolt is probably more risky than not having a cover on at all. And as you can probably see, if I can get it in there, I'll put that nut and bolt in there, which would be for that cover, but obviously we ain't going to be fitting a cover now, because we can't, basically, because that's all been hacked away there to fit the wastegate, again by the previous owner. So I just stuck that nut and bolt in there. I don't know why, but it's in there. I had it, so I just stuck it in there. Maybe we might be able to sort something out later on down the road, because there is another bolt hole just above that. It's a slightly smaller, I think it was like M8 there, and the one below that bolt was about M10. So maybe we can fab something up just to cover that plate up, because there's only a bit of flat plate that just goes in there. So maybe I'll be able to fab something up later on. So that's that bit. The gearbox mount is all in, looking nice and shiny, all new shiny bolts and stuff. Puts the rest to shame really, but once you've got the charge cooler in here, you can't really see that subframe, and I guess when the air filter's in here you can't really see that either, but is what it is. That needed to be done, and I wasn't prepared to drop the complete subframe and redo all that at this moment in time. When the engine goes and we need to pick the engine out to do that, then we'll do the subframe at the same time. But until that date, we just put a nice new powder coated gearbox arm in there, and that was by MGF and TF Bits. So yeah, go and give them a look, because they do some really nice powder coated bits for MGFs and TFs. And as we know, an MGF is just a rear wheel drive Metro. So I'm going to start by getting the gear linkage on now, getting the drive shafts all back in so we can get the gearbox filled with oil, engine filled with oil, and I think that is about it really, apart from the exhaust, to make it start. So yeah, let me get the drive shafts in, because I'm going to have to do them upper ball joints anyway. So we'll just waz that out, swap the calipers over, and hopefully that'll be a nice easy job. Right, I'll come back to you when that's all done, and we'll have another little update, probably in about an hour for me, but for you, a few seconds. Right, we're pretty much all there now. So I've got the drive shafts in, drive shaft nuts, the new brakes, new upper ball joints. So both the hubs are all done now. Just need to bleed the brakes, but we'll do that at a later date, no issues. Coming on to engine bay side, all the charge coolers back in, all the gearbox bolts are in, the starter motor wiring is all in, clutch cable, and the speedo drive. Now the speedo that reads about 15 mile an hour less than what you're actually doing, so yeah, I don't even know why I hooked that back up again, but because it's a PG1 gearbox and a Metro cluster, we need to do some adaptations on that to then make that work, and display the correct speed. But at the minute I've got a little Android phone that I have on the dash with Torque Pro, and it gives you a GPS speed on that, so that's where I'm going. But you're doing 70 mile an hour, and the speedo reads 50. No, sorry, it's the other way round. So the speedo reads 70, but you're only doing 50. So yeah, that's the right way round. So yeah, that pretty much all back together. I've got some gearbox oil in now, and I did notice that when I put the shafts back in, I had a little peer through the drive flange where the drive shafts go into the gearbox, because apparently this should have a Torsen Type A diff, but it doesn't. It's just got an open diff. The way you can tell is Torsen A has got a plate in the middle with like an 8mm hole drilled through it. Torsen B is like completely straight through, and open diff is like got a bar that goes through it. So yeah, I've got the bar that goes through. I'll stick a picture in so you can see, and I'll see if I can get some other images about the Torsen A's and Torsen B's and stick them in as well. Yeah, so I've got some gearbox oil and engine oil in as well. So this is the engine oil that I've put in there. It's a Titan Race 10W50 fully synthetic, and this is the gearbox oil. Because it's an open diff, I've just gone with a standard MTF 94 fluid, so it takes just over 2 litres until it starts pouring out the actual fill hole. Right, let's get underneath and I'll show you a little bit underneath as well. Well, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see, because I have to zoom it in for the light on the phone to work. So I'll quickly show you little bits. You can see the 2 nuts there and the new flywheel cover plate. So that's all on. The speed sensor thing, again, has been adapted by a previous owner. Again, it doesn't give you true speed, but if you know roughly how fast you're going and you go off the GPS thing, if you haven't got the GPS bit thing going, you sort of roughly know how fast you're going anyway. So that is that. New gearbox selector bushing, the 2 washers and the prop bolt as well, so that's all in there as well. There's a if I can get you in there. Right, so you should have a plate on the inside. You then got this selector arm with the bush that goes over, and then you've got another washer with a new bolt. You can still get all these off Rover. I got all this off Rimmer Brothers just purely because it's nice and easy. And you don't have to order, like when I order stuff off Expart as a trade, you have to order, like when you order bolts, you have to order like 5 or 10. And I guess it's alright if you're using them all the time. But when you're not using them all the time, you just want 1 or 2, it can get quite expensive. So yeah, that's the selector all in. Just see the couple of new bolts there as well at the bottom of the bell housing. That's about it under here really. So let's get up underneath and we'll see what we can do next. Right, I just realised what the time is, and that's getting to like 6:30 now, so I need to go in and cook some dinner. I'll come back out here tomorrow, and I think what we'll do tomorrow is we'll get the downpipe all wrapped up in some Funk Motorsport heat wrap. We'll get that fitted with a gasket, because when I started up last time, when you revved it, that was spluttering. And I think what was happening is that I had a slight leak between the V-band flanges. So I've got some gaskets for that as well. I think I was just letting in although it was blowing out, I think that's drawing a little bit of air and giving the wrong reading to the lambda sensor. So we're going to wrap that up, get all that fitted, get all that plugged in, get the Funk Motorsport turbo blanket on as well. So because I've started up and I've checked for leaks, so I'm quite happy that it's not all going to leak in the turbo blanket and destroy another new turbo blanket. So last time I destroyed a new turbo blanket, I think they're about 160 quid off the top of my head, so they're not cheap, and I don't really want to go for another one. The trouble is you can't clean them. I did try and put it through the wash machine. I know, right, stupid. And it just tore to bits. So you can't, once it's soaked in oil, you can't clean the oil out of them, so it's basically a throwaway item. Yeah, we'll get that on, we'll get the exhaust on, and we'll get it another start, just again check for leaks. We'll bleed some brakes, so hopefully one of my children or my wife can help me just bleed the brakes. Get the wheels back on, and then that'll be that bit done. We can then get the radiator in, get that filled up with coolant, and then hopefully we'll get it up the temperature, and yeah, we'll come up with another plan on what to do after that. So I think once it's all up to temperature and running and lovely, and there's no leaks, I think the next bit we'll be doing is just finishing the rest of the exhaust, because it shouldn't take too long. It's literally just down the transmission tunnel, or the centre tunnel, and then out the side, so no silencers or anything like that. I might have to put a couple of pie cuts in just to bend it around the shift linkage, but that'll be another separate video anyway. So, and hopefully I can show you how my welding has improved. Right, I'm gonna go in, cook some dinner. I'll be back tomorrow, so hopefully that'll be just a moment for you, but I will see you in the morning.
The next day.
Right, back again next morning, or afternoon now. I have done a little bit of work off camera, which was wrapping the downpipe, and I've got the downpipe installed, so just show you that. So yeah, that's all wrapped and on. I did have some issues with that, not with the wrapping, but with fitting the downpipe. I think when I welded the flange on the exhaust, the actual flange itself distorted a little bit. So when I put it on, it was leaking a little bit, which was causing it when you rev it up to misfire. So I got some gaskets. I stuck one gasket in, and that was still doing it. And I thought, is it the lambda sensor? So I got another lambda sensor and stuck that in, but the plugs were different. Still like a D-shaped plug, but the tabs where it goes into the female side of the plug were different in a different location. So yeah, that didn't fit. I did try and de-pin it and try and swap the plugs over, but that didn't really go too well. And when you unplug the lambda sensor, it ran pretty much okay. So we know that was either a lambda sensor fault or another leak. So I then took the gasket back out again, doubled up the gasket, and put them in. Done the exhaust clamp up with the little impact gun, and that seems fine now. So hopefully we won't have any more issues with that. But yeah, that starts and runs. You rev it, that don't misfire anymore. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to buy another lambda sensor though, because when I took that one out of the old downpipe, as I was unscrewing it, the wires were hitting part of the screamer pipe. So I think the screamer pipe was added with the lambda sensor in place. No real thought was given to it. So when you undone the lambda sensor, that was screwing up the wires of the actual lambda sensor itself. So I think I might just go and buy a new lambda sensor anyway, just to be on the safe side. Yeah, so the history of that lambda sensor is unknown really, is it? So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick the old turbo blanket on. I've had it running for a couple of minutes. Obviously I don't want to run it too long, so it ain't got the coolant in it. Can't see no leaks at the minute, but I'll get the turbo blanket on because it's a lot easier to do it with the radiator out. Get the radiator in, get the coolant in, and get it up to temperature. And once I've done all that, we'll start it up and I'll show you it running and bleeding through. So bear with me for a couple of minutes, and yeah, we'll get the rad back in. Right, not that you can probably hear me, but it's up and running. Got the coolant in, got it all bled up. So yeah, just getting up to temperature now. See if the fan cuts in. That is about it really. Still sounds really tabbity. Starting to get up to temperature. Right, let's get it up to temperature and then see what happens. Right, there we go. It's all pretty much back together now. Sorry it hasn't been much video footage today, but it's a Sunday and I'm just cracking on while I've got the time really. But yeah, no, it's we're pretty much there now. It's all been run up to temperature. Checked oil, checked all the coolant, checked for leaks. I can't get my Torque Pro Bluetooth adapter to work in the OBD port. Normally you can, there's a couple of sensors that you can monitor, like the coolant temperature is the main thing, which I wanted to monitor, but I couldn't do that on this one today. For some reason I tried, it just wouldn't connect to Bluetooth, so I think the actual adapter is knackered. So, but yeah, anyway, we're all back together. I got the front bumper back on. I had to do some trimming around the front for it to sit properly, because that was catching just in these corners here on the radiator, but that's all trimmed now and that's all back to where it should be. I've just given it a coat of plastic trim reviver, so we'll see how long that lasts, because that was really grey. But yeah, we'll see how long that will last before that needs doing again. Yeah, wheels are on, brakes are bled. Again, not really much in that area apart from the ball joints, and obviously the brakes that were swapped over from my old racing brakes. This is all stuff that I've mentioned previously, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. Yeah, just come around here, I'll just show you this side. Just bumper fitment, wheel and all that sort of stuff. The only thing I do need to do is just tidy up some of this wires, get all that clipped in. I am going to buy another O2 sensor, and I'm probably going to buy one with a slightly longer lead as well, because that's like draping right across the manifold, and I want it to come right up against the slam panel, and it's not quite long enough. So yeah, just going to buy a slightly longer lambda sensor. Fan wires all in. Again, I didn't hear the fan cut in. I don't think it quite got up to that temperature at the minute, because I've got to be very quiet around my area, because we've got some not so nice neighbours, shall we say. It don't like a lot of noise, and when you're revving a 1.8 turbo of a straight through pipe, they like to complain quite a bit. But yeah, no, that's all back together. Again, all the gearboxes in. I can't see any leaks at the minute. I'll just pop my head underneath again. Now we've had it all running, just to double check the leaks. But yeah, that is pretty much done. We can now concentrate on finishing the exhaust off, and hopefully road testing it. And then I guess after we've done that, we'll see what the next job would be. I have got some Avo coilovers for the front of this, so I would like to put them on, but I was going to do all that when I do the subframe. But yeah, I'm not too sure on that yet, because I like how the back sits, but the front sits like quite high still. But I'd say the front sump and the downpipe sits quite low, so not too sure how low we're going to be able to go. And our roads around here, to get out onto any main roads, is like a hump of dirt in the middle of it, so that likes to pick up everything and scrape along that bit. And the other thing that I've got is I've still got the rear half cage that I ordered a year ago, the safety devices one. When I cut out the old cage out of this, I ordered a safety devices cage, and that's been sat in my unit now for months and months, probably 9 or 10 months I reckon, if not a year. So yeah, we've got that to do, and when we do that, we're going to weld in all the new foot plates to bolt it all down, and then we're going to strip the entire interior and paint it all. So we've got that. We're now not running a screamer pipe, so we've got a nice hole in the bonnet, but I have got some fiberglass panels. So I've got a front bonnet and a rear boot lid in fiberglass, single skin. But I'm not too sure whether I'm going to be putting that on this now, or whether I'm going to be using them on the race car, the Metro race car that is. But I can't run fiberglass panels in the classic stock hatch, but I think I might be able to in the MG Metro Cup, but I'm going to have to read the regulations on that. So again, I'm in two minds, but if we use them on the race car, I can then bring the bonnet over from the race car and stick it onto this. And worst case scenario, if we need to lighten it up a bit, we can just take all the frame out basically, like they do on the race cars anyway. So, and then we'll just leave this piece in here just for the hinge. Right, I think that's about it. I'm just going to pop underneath, I'll take it with me, and just check to see if there's any leaks at all. Right, you're going to have to excuse the glare of the light, but as you can see, that is bone dry from that area. Normally I clean it up and within a minute of running that's dripping out the bottom, so we're just going to have to obviously still keep an eye on it, because I wasn't too sure about that seal, being that it was a repacked version. So yeah, again, we'll just keep an eye on that. And the rest of it looks pretty dry anyway, so I've cleaned everything off. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it and see what happens. If it reoccurs, then I think that'll be engine out and we rebuild the engine and go from there, because yeah, I'm not really too confident in the previous person who built the engine, but yeah, that's just my opinion anyway. Right, let's get up off the floor and close this video out. Right, so yeah, I'll leave it there for now. I'm happy with how it is so far. Again, we haven't road tested it, so that is still to come. But I'm not going to be road testing it until I've done the exhaust, and that is the next job. On this vehicle anyway. There probably won't be the next video, but it's going to be the next job on this car. So yeah, leave it here for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit bitty and all over the place, but hopefully that gives you some sort of information, and it's more of documenting this car really, on everything that's being done to it. Just for whatever reason I go to sell it, or I lose my memory for any reason, I can go back to what I've done. Basically that's the main reason for it. But yeah, anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.